this. Hey there, Danny here. Welcome to my ramblings. Last night I had this grand epiphany. There's a few YouTubers that I like to watch. One in particular, he just seems he seems real. He seems authentic. Um, so I was watching him last night, and I've been kind of struggling with a few things. And, in my last video, I said, can you help a girl out? Well, I got the help I needed. Thank you. I'm going to share a story with you before I tell you about the Epiphany. And then at the end, I'll bring it all together to explain it to you fully, so you comprehend where I'm coming from. So, when I was in college, I had an instructor. We were taking it was civil litigation, I think it was, that we were taking. And my friend's name is Cynthia. We weren't friends at this time. We had just started college. We hadn't been in for a few months or whatever. And he said, "Okay, who's for Roe v. Wade?" And I raised my hand. He says, "All right, stand up." He says, "Who's against Roe v. Wade?" And my friend Cynthia raises her hand. So he says, "Okay, ladies, please stand up." So we stood up at our desks, well, their tables, but we stood up there. We were in the front row, so we were in front of the whole class. And he says, "Okay, start arguing your points." And we did. I argued the points why I was for Roe v. Wade. She argued all the points why she was against Roe v. Wade. He sent us to break. And when we got back in, he said, "Ladies, would you please stand again?" And we're like, okay, why is he going to make us stand? He says, "Now I want you to argue the exact opposite of what you argued before, as passionately as you did." And I looked at him completely confused, and I said, "Well, how the hell do you expect me to do that?" I said, "I don't feel as passionate about it." And he looks right at me and then looks around the class and says, "How can you represent a client and take on a client's case if you can't see all sides of it?" Whew, mind was blown. So I started stealing what I remembered her saying before our break, and she did the same thing. And then finally, once we got to that passionate point, he let us both sit down. That was worth the $25,000 for that degree, that's for sure. It would be years later that I would be able to put all of this into play and fully understand why the things happened that they had the way they happened. So keep that story in mind. The Epiphany last night was about 6 months ago. I started having like these internal, I don't know if I'd say feelings, just thoughts, like something's off when I'd be around certain people or whatever. And instead of saying anything, because I assumed it was my intuition, but I wasn't fully sure of it, I just kind of observed when I was around them or when I talked to them. And slowly but surely, I started to think, oh my God, they're sucking the life out of me. Oh my God, I have no energy. I'm always tired. I'm constantly battling a cold or sinuses or something else. And I'm going broke again. How is this happening? And then I started to slowly but surely put it together. I started talking about energy and everything else. Well, last night my epiphany literally was, I was allowing them to suck me dry of my energy. Their lives went wonderful when I was around, but that was because they were sucking my energy. I used to have two things that I joked about. One I've joked about for decades, since I have become an adult and been living out on my own since I left my mom's house. I always joked that I've started over so many times, I'm a pro at it. And every time I do, I come back better than I was before. And the other one that I joked about when I started on this journey to true authenticity and loving myself. I used to say, how was I always broke when I was with a man? Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? I have way more money when I'm not dating a guy because, well, I didn't know why. Last night with the Epiphany, I get exactly why. Because the drive that I have, the energy that is within me, and who I am as a true authentic person is energy. I know damn well, and I've known this since I was young, that I can make more money. I can never make more time. So I've always valued time over money. I've never been one that was big on gifts and stuff. Yes, gifts are nice. They're wonderful. I love them. I'm not saying I'm against them. But I would rather have somebody spend their time with me and enjoy their company and them enjoy my company. But I knew way back when that people sucked my energy. But I figured that they needed it more than I did, and I could just replenish it. And I knew I could. I mean, the amount of times that I had started over on my own, and each time I had to restart my life over, and I'm talking from scratch, like no furniture, no nothing, like literally starting over from scratch. I always did it better each time. So starting over was never I was in my 30s, and at that point, starting over was never a big deal for me. I've done it several times that I know that I'm going to do better than I did the last time I had to start over. So what the hell did I care? The part that I was missing was the energy. And that if I didn't want to be treated the way that I was being treated, I had to take control of my energy. Sorry, you can kind of see. He's old. That's Myron, my little rat terrier mix. He's at his life expectancy, so he's kind of grumpy. I call him grumpy old man. But the vet says there's nothing wrong with him really, so as long as he's not in pain or anything, no reason to put him down. So I'm in agreement with that. Sorry, I digress. For me, I started to realize probably the last 6 months that, oh my God, these people suck the energy out of me. And I allowed it. And the funny part is once I had that epiphany last night and I started thinking back over these things, I realized that I realized that there were so many times when I was with these different guys that I knew they were lying. They were no good at it. But why? I'm not going to argue with them over this stupid shit. It's just not worth it. Whatever. They can be right. I didn't need to be right. I didn't care. Whatever. And slowly but surely over the last 6 months, I've started to pay attention to the energy and the way I feel around people. And if I'm around somebody and I've noticed the ones that I'm around that are negative, that all they can do is talk about bad things and complain about things and everything else, they're very negative. I don't want to talk to them again. I don't want to have anything to do with them again. They're not the type of people that I want to be around because those people suck my energy. So I can say that since I got back here, well, I would say when I was in Oklahoma, but when I got back here in December, things really, really changed for me. And at that point, I started to recognize, okay, this person's always negative. So I would just avoid talking to the person. I would keep it short and simple, and I'd get away from them as quickly as I could. And the more I started surrounding myself with positive people, the more I was laughing and smiling again. And the more I was really enjoying life. And the more I was feeling happy. I was at peace. Excuse me. Allergies are horrible lately. Anyways, so I realized that I didn't know how to protect my energy. So I let people run off with it under the false assumption that, well, it's just energy, I can get it back. Nowhere in my mind did I ever stop and think that what if someday the energy wears out? What if someday I can't get the energy back? That never crossed my mind. Well, this last time, I'd say the last 6 months, I really started like backing away from everybody. I mean, it wasn't personal. Not everybody was negative or sucking my energy, but I needed to pull myself back from everybody so I could figure it out. And now that I've discovered how to protect my energy and how not to get sucked down that rabbit hole, of the energy vampires. Today was a magnificent day. The reason that I shared the story in the beginning and why I'm sharing my epiphany right now is because my goal is you can see somebody else's pain. You can see where they're not seeing clearly with their pain. You can see it because you're not emotionally attached to it like they are. So if you're emotionally attached to pain, you're not going to be able to see clearly. So having somebody on the outside that can kind of play scenarios with you and figure it out with you, can help you see things more clearly and be able to make a better informed, educated decision that's gonna be in your best interest. So the whole purpose of what I'm doing here is to build a soul tribe, not just mine, but ours, all of us, where we can come and be safe and open. We can work and help each other move forward and just keep that positivity and that good energy flowing. That doesn't mean we're not going to have bad things or we're not going to have negativity, but we're going to know how to take care of it and move past it quickly. So that is the goal of this. Eventually, as this progresses and we have enough people, I do have a phone line set up to where if you're struggling with something and you want to have a one-on-one with me where we can discuss it and I can help play scenarios with you so you can see things from your perspective, I will never ever persuade you on how to think. But I'm not going to be emotionally attached like you are. And I've been told by numerous of people over my adult life that I'm very good at giving advice. I just suck at taking my own, which is kind of how this whole 3 years thing came about. Okay, I need to work on me. And I think a lot of working on me came from when my mom passed. My mother was, I love her to death. I do not have any regrets from my childhood. But my mother was a very manipulative, vindictive person. She mellowed out as she got older. So I can peg off somebody who's attempting to be manipulative from a mile away, and I'll call them on it. But usually if they're being manipulative, they get like violently angry about it. So we're all a progress. We're all a work in progress as we go. And none of us know how long we're going to be here or when it's going to end. But while we're here, let's build a wonderful soul tribe that we can lean on for support and maybe we'll get to the point where we're just a bunch of friends. I think that would be great. So that was my epiphany. There's a little bit more to it that I'll go into at a later date. But right now, I just wanted to share that big epiphany with you. And I will forever be grateful to that YouTuber because he really made me see something that I was not able to see. And I think the last 6 months, I've really struggled with recognizing that it's energy. And that energy is everything. They don't teach us this. nobody explains this to us, but it's energy. And so we want to be around other people that have good energy and are trying to progress themselves too forward. So with all of that said, feel free to leave questions, comments, whatever you want down in the comments below. We can have a great discussion on whatever you want. Please keep it clean, so then nobody's getting mad at each other or anything else. We're going to stay nice and kind. If not, then your comment will be deleted. I don't want to have to do that. But I want this to be a 100% open-minded, open-hearted support. So as we progress, we'll get more into it. But as of right now, there's not a lot of us on here yet. So once we do, then I'll open up the phone line and everything else and whatever else we're going to do. I really don't have a definitive on what I'm going to do with this. I'm kind of winging it. But I'm going with how I feel. And if it makes me feel happy and I enjoy doing it, then that's where I'm going. And I'm thoroughly enjoying doing these videos. We've gotten a lot of likes in a month's time. Thank you, all of you. Your likes, your shares, your subscriptions. I greatly appreciate that. Hopefully we'll get a lot more so we can start some discussions and have some topics. At some point later down the road when there's enough people, I'll do some lives where we can do Q&As and things like that. But anyways, have a great night. Got any questions or you want to talk or whatever, hit me up in the comments. I'll see you guys later. Thanks. Bye.